Welcome to the Coach Speak podcast, built for coaches, by coaches, hosted by Jamie Bolton and Dustin Martin. Sponsored by Ray Crowther, providing the nation's best athletic training equipment since 1932. And R4 Football Systems. Accelerate everything by decoding the game.
Hey guys, welcome back to Coach Speak. Dustin Martin here with Jamie Bolton. Another special guest tonight, one of my close friends, Coach Bongi. Not going to try to say his last name because it's Italian and I will butcher it. I'll leave that to Jamie. Before we get going, I want to shout out to our sponsors, Team Builder and Tsunami Bar Sports. And guys, don't forget 1 week left of the merch store, and shout out Dome Headwear.
Yeah, guys, got one on today, so a little Nuck If You Buck with the Buck sweep on there. That's good, man. But yeah, today's guest he's done it all, man. He grounded as a Division II coach. He had coaching stops across the Carolinas, running offense at the college level, now leading one of the top high school programs in Western Pennsylvania. Coach Michael Bongivengo. I screwed that up. We talked about it before the show. We're going to give that redneck twist, Bongivengo, but it is Bongivengo, and we're going to talk about his journey today. He has stopped at Lake Norman, Fort Mill, and then coordinated dynamic offense at Division III Westminster. Coach, man, welcome to the pod.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me today. Excited to get after it.
Yeah, Coach, you coached every level from D2 to D3 and now high school. When you look back, what moment first made you realize you were meant to be a football coach?
Well, I mean, I can remember all the way back in the day, man. I come from a family of coaches. My grandfather's 87 years old. He's still on my sidelines. He was a head coach at local high school for 30 plus. My pops, he coached at, he was a head high school coach as well. He coached me in high school. Only sport he ever coached me in. And then he coached at Slippery Rock and Westminster with me as well. So, I kind of knew back in the day when I told my dad about 7th, 8th grade I was going to the NFL, he kind of looked at me, he said, "You mean to coach, right?" And I was like, "Well, I guess I ain't playing much longer, Pops. Thanks." So kind of then, but then whenever I transferred to Slippery Rock, I had to stop at Seton Hill when I was playing university, and I transferred to Slippery Rock. My head coach at the time, Coach Mahalik, was like, "Dude, he had it lined up. He said, 'You're going to be my GA. You got 4 seasons to play. You're going to be my GA.'" And lo and behold, that's kind of how I knew I was getting into it.
Man, and what's funny is, Bolton, you remember Isaiah Coleman from Cannon?
Yeah.
So Bongi and Isaiah, they played together. I can't remember how that came about. I think I was in Isaiah's office one day, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I got a good buddy, Bongi." And he's like, "Wait. No, he had a Slippery Rock on. He had Slippery Rock
That's
on."
right.
I said, man, but you played quarterback, didn't you?
Well, when I transferred to Slippery Rock, I was a quarterback, like pro style, under center. So I was like that typical quarterback. But then ironically, it's going to date me a little bit, I guess. Like I was our wildcat guy that my redshirt freshman year. Like, you know what I mean? You remember them days like, "Hey, we're getting in the shotgun, right? Like go run zone read." So
Yeah,
like, I was
I
a
can see the
wildcat.
high step drop with the ball beside your face mask. Like, yeah, pulling the
Oh,
chain.
you might see it.
Yes, dude.
You might see it.
Yes, dude.
But yeah, I was like the wildcat guy for 2 years, and then my last 2 years I transferred over, played slot because we went to the air raid style with Coach Longo my redshirt junior and senior year. So that's kind of when I made the switch. But yeah, I was a quarterback my whole life, and like I said, that wildcat guy when I first got to college.
Yeah, I remember when we coached. So when me and Bongi were together at Fort Mill, his classroom was right down the hall, and we would always talk like back and forth. And Bolton, like how I do formations where it's kind of like Rio on, Rio off. I kind of got that from Bongi because he got that from Longo because that's how he does everything. And but man, it was cool for our talks, man, and I really appreciated that. We had these big old windows in the classroom, and dude, he'd walk in, there's just Expo all over the windows and. But man, it was a trip. Coach, man, you've been a GA at the D2 level, a OC at the D3 level, and coached at Lake Norman and Fort Mill, some bigger schools in both of the Carolinas. What do you think was like one of your most beneficial things you took as you took a head job? Because you've seen it all, you've been around a lot of ball, and what do you think's a big thing you took?
I mean, I took a little bit from everywhere, man. Like, when I got to the Carolinas, obviously I didn't know anybody, like up here, I still have my pops, when I was coaching at Slippery Rock as a GA, and I was a young GA, typical young guy. And then when I kind of moved down south, man, like I had, not a lot of people noticed, but I just lived down there. I was like, yeah, I'm moving to Charlotte. I'm going to make a bunch of money. Right. And then I was like, man, I got to coach. My wife got me back into teaching and coaching. And I really to get to where I am today, like there was a lot of guys, man, like, guys I worked with to really help me understand like the whole picture, right? Like looking at, hey, what is the O line doing from steps to technique? So what's the D line doing, right? And it wasn't just one head coach. Obviously working with Rob, it was awesome to see the organization and see the way he had that energy and led practice. I worked with Coach O at Lake Norman as well, and he had that young energy. And that was kind of when I got into it. I modeled myself a little bit after that, like having that good energy. But even working with you, Pachotti, Stokes, all those guys that I worked with in the Carolinas, man, like it really opened my eyes because all I knew was Western PA ball. And yeah, I had boys from, kind of all over when I played at college, but man, I didn't get to see it. So like that time in the Carolinas really helped me a ton to know, some things that I wanted to bring into my own program when I got the opportunity to apply for a head coaching job. I knew I always wanted to be a head coach. I knew I wanted to lead a program. Wasn't real sure if I wanted to stay with the college or not when I took the college experience. And then that was another thing, now being able to see that recruiting side of it, man, like I've just been blessed to be surrounded by great people to help me get to where I am right now. That's really the truth. And it's cliche to say, but it really is the truth.
Yeah. Did you feel like when you took over the job, you were ready for everything, or did you have to maybe adapt some of the things that, hey, I got all this planned, or, is it different where you're at than what you thought it would be?
Oh, totally different, man, right? Like totally different. The one thing that nobody prepares you for is all like the gear, the organization, like making sure all your ducks are in a row. Like, yeah, you
Send
help the head
helmets
coach
off.
do it sometimes, right? Like stuff like that. It's like, man, you knew it was kind of there, but you thought like, oh yeah, everybody will come help you like we did. Like when I was
Yeah.
assistant,
Who's going to load the
nope, that
helmets
ain't
on
the
the
truth.
truck? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Like, so like those little things there. But then when it came to everything else, like being able to manage other people, man, like, on my staff, I only got a few guys younger than me at the end of the day. Like, I got great human beings, like all college football players are on my staff. Like all of us play college ball, which is awesome to see. A lot of family friends and like friends who watched me grow up and play in high school are on my staff. You know what I mean? So like that management part too was something I really had to adjust to, get my vision out there and really establish like, hey, this is the way I want to see this program continue to trend, right? So like, I really, I was conscientious of those things, right? Like I was really thinking about that, man, like how to make sure I could put my ducks in a row, make sure that there. And then obviously dealing with parents, that's something you got to get an acquired taste to, obviously, but I got a great community I'm in right now. Once again, a lot of people have known me for a lot of my life. So like, yeah, I definitely had to do a lot of growing and yeah, I had 1,000 things on paper. Let's be real. Just like we all do, right? Like, man, we're going to do this, this, and this, right? And you got to move some things around
Yeah.
and fit your program the best way.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I realized when I took the head job over after Jamie left was that was the last blanket sheet that separated me from parents. And, leaving that job and now going back to being a coordinator, like I don't, and from the football aspect, I don't talk to parents. And if I do, it's coach, what's going on? How's so-and-so doing? You know what I mean? Like it's that's the extent of it. And I'll be honest, it's great when a parent has an issue. I'm like, you know what? With all due respect, that's not my call, but I can direct you to Coach Boulware, our head coach, and he can take care of it. Like, and on the other side, AD, all I do is talk with parents. So it's like, but I told Jamie, I said, as an AD, I feel more like a grandparent. You know what I mean? They come to me, I take care of them, and then I don't see them again until there's something that happens that I need to be involved in. As a head coach, you may have issues with the parent, and guess what? You're going to deal with them on Monday. And then even though it's resolved, you still got to deal with them on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So it's a little different, but no, man, I think I liked your answer there about the ducks in a row. And I think staffing is one of the biggest concerns you got to think about as a head coach. You can take over the best job with the best Jimmys and Joes, but it's like, if you don't have the help, and I'm talking about like the minor things, like the equipment, the transportation, the pregame meals, and then not to mention, we still coach the scheme, the technique, like staffing is huge. So, coach, seasons get long, football's monotonous. I think gratitude's a huge thing in the game of football, and especially in the seat of everyone, but especially the head coach, maybe the coordinators. What do you think are ways that you can continue to provide gratitude on those weeks that get long or the monotonous practices? What are some ideas that you use?
I mean, one of my biggest thing is, we film every practice, right? And I know a lot of people up here don't do that, but like that little bit of gratification, like throwing a little note on huddle while the kids are watching it at home, right? Like, hey, great job, Billy. I love the way you ran this route, right? Or, hey, way to break on this ball. Like, I think that those little pieces of that reassurance that you could give kids just virtually that way, or when you're watching the practice film together, right? Because we don't have like football classes up here or anything like that. Like, man, it's after school. You're lifting, you're watching the film, you're getting out to practice, right? You ain't trying to keep these kids here 3-4 hours. So, to be able to give that gratitude and that little bit of, hey, I seen you yesterday on the practice film going hard on scout team. Like, man, keep it up. Wait, you never know what could happen Friday night, right? So, like, I think those little things are like one of the first steps we do, right? And then just the assistant coaches do a great job, all my assistants and myself, like praising guys instantly, that instant gratification, right? Like, let's be real. Kids, I mean, they love social media nowadays. What do they love? That instant gratification. So, right? Like, so it's kind of like you got to be that social media on the field for them. Be like, oh, that a boy, chest bumping with them, giving them that shoulder bump, like high five, whatever it may be. And then in turn, I think it snowballs in your team as well, right? Like they see the coaches getting hype at practice. Like, coach, it's a Tuesday. We play a team that's 0-7. Like, why are you so hyped? Like, you know what I mean? They kind of fall in line there too. So I really think that, that outgoing personality and that instant gratification is what these kids yearn for, man. And that's what something, all of us try to do at practice day in and day out.
Yeah. And as a leader, I think it's really, really important that you set the temperature for that. I think I love that because it's contagious. That's one of our C's that we always talk about. Like your behavior, your ability to set the temperature in the room is contagious. Like they hear you. Hey man, even if you're talking to another coach, hey coach, good job, man. Great call, man. Good blitz with good pressure right there. Excellent. That just feeds to this positivity and an environment where people are excited to be there all the time. And I think that's excellent. Even when times get hard, I think that's probably the hardest. It's easy to do it when you're up, 47-0. But hey, man, when it's not going well and you're struggling a little bit, when you can be grateful in those moments, I think that matters more and that has an even deeper impact on the people that you lead.
Yeah, and it's like, but it's like, Tuesdays are typically your longest practice, so when you hit week 7, week 8, it's like, all right, I can sense they're wore out. They don't really want to be here today. We still got to get work done, but I can take 2 routes. I can be mean, up, downs, run them. Well, guess what? They ain't going to want to be here even more. So how can we motivate them to get them where they need to go? You know what I'm saying? The head coach starts it. The coordinators continue it, and then the assistant coaches continue it, because let's be real, the head coach can't be with every position group, every player, the whole practice. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have to have that alignment of those things, man. But I think gratitude goes a long way. And I think just a simple comment, like I really think that goes a long way, man.
And I didn't do a good enough job of that when I was a head coach. I really didn't. I really would not do a good job. And now that I'm out of it for a while, I know why that's so important. Because I'm now an assistant coach, I could see you kind of have that different angle, right? Do you see that some too now that you've kind of transitioned to that head job?
Oh yeah, for sure. And even like, kind of piggybacking off that, like that friendly competition as well, right? Like, you're calling an RPO or whatever it may be, and you get that safety to bite down. We throw right off his ear, like getting on the safety coach a little bit, right? Like, oh, I got you. You know what I mean? Because then that kid in turn is going to be like, yo, wait a second. Like, I got coach's back real quick. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let me show something, right? So like, yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge point that from year 1 to year 2, me being a head coach, like I definitely had a little more fun. I guess fun is the right word to use with my assistants, right? Or like showing that, hey, let's go, let's get after it. And before every game, I mean, I'm sure the kids can see it. I'm walking around, I hug every single one of the assistant coaches, right? And we hug each other. All right, come on, let's go, bro. Smack each other on the behind or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? And I think our guys see that, right? And they know how close we are. Like they could hear us belly laughing in the coach's office down the hall while they're lifting, right? So, being That's able to show that we got gratitude for each other and that love for each other, I think it permeates through to the kids as well.
Oh, I know they feed off me in Bolton, because like we have a stunt period like every week, And like, there's some weeks
I call
I
nothing
light
but
him
screens.
up, and then he lights me up the whole period. Like, so last week, I looked at our DB coach. I say, man, I'm gonna light him up in stunts today. I'm going 0, and I'm just sending everything we got. And he was screening us and screening us and screening us.
I just stopped. I was like, I'm not even gonna try to drop back
So
anymore.
actually today we had it, and I did all sims where we were tracing the back with the defensive end, and every time he dump it, the end's right there. So, but it's fun, man, because like like you said, the kids pick up on that, and I think it's huge. It's fun, man. You got to enjoy it, and I really think early on in my career, I was that big bully coach, not as in bullying the kids, as in I want you to be scared of me. Like, I'm going to be a hard A all the time. And like, you should do it because I expect you to do it. Like, and I learned over the years that man, that's an ego thing. That's a you thing. You got to get over that. And I think when I heard a comment about 4 years ago and it said, you are the only person within the school they choose to go to. They don't choose to go to math. They don't choose to go to science. They choose to go to football practice. So they're there. And the guys that do come and show up, and I've been on several staffs and I've been guilty of this. When some kids aren't there or some kids don't show up, you take it out on the kids that are sitting right in front of you. And it's like, man, like, they don't need to hear this message. They're here. Like,
I've
they're
done
here.
that. I've done that like a lot in my career.
Yes, dude. And it's like, but
we gotta be committed. Like, well, dude, they're all right here in front of us.
Sitting there. Yeah. Like, but man, it's like, it's just funny because it's like, it's so funny how full circle it goes. I mean, I'm only 30, I'm in year 12, but it's like I would much rather have their back and they have my back. I think that means something. I know they choose to be here. Does that mean I'm going to take it easy on them and be lackadaisical? No, I'm going to hold them to a high standard and I'm going to coach them hard. But guess what? There's a difference in just yelling and screaming because you want to be feared and screaming and coaching. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's huge for me that I've learned over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I was blessed. I have my pops, man. Like, you know, my dad's one of them guys, like, you know, old Italian dude. I know you guys said it earlier. Like, he's that Italian guy, big dude, deep voice, like, but he was always a guy, man, who, like, even my boys, like, back then, they easily probably could say, man, I hate Coach Barnes. You know what I mean? Because of the way he rode us and got on us. But, like, man, he was always just showing so much love. And, like, even when I was a water boy, you know, them dudes hugging them after their last game as a senior, man, like, seeing that with him and my grandpa both. So, like, I was pretty blessed. I really was to, like, see the way that I wanted to be, right? I don't want to say right or wrong way. That was just the way my dad and Gramps did it. But, like, you know, they kind of paved that pathway for me, man. Like, oh, be you, you know, be genuine who you are, but demand the most out of these guys. But they're here for you, man. Showing you love them, showing you care about them. And they're going to go through walls for you, man. And that's really something I was blessed with. Literally, I mean, from the time I could remember hitting play pause on the VCR at my grandpa's living room, man, I could just knowing the way he coached, you know, I was really happy that I was able to see
I have a
that.
similar thing. My dad was just a complete hard ass, like, all the time. And he coached D-line, you know, and then he was defense coordinator too. But I can remember the kids' names to this day that he's screaming, you know, where they're not like attacking the V of the neck. And like, I can just remember that, like, shook. But, you know, it'd be the same kid. He'd be, and honestly, he'd be the first one to call them out on what they've done wrong. But he is the very first one that praises them out loud when they do something right. And those kids, it matters to the kids because they know the passion behind it is for their benefit. And my dad is one of the best I've ever seen at it. Where we're at restaurants, I remember we'd be at a restaurant and there'll be a kid he coached 15, 20 years ago, and they come up to him and talk to him. And he was my teammate. Like, he wouldn't even talk to me. He'd talk to dad, you know, and he'd, you know, hug him. But dad, you know, dip spit all in the face. I mean, it's one of those things, man. But that taught me a lot about, you can love kids hard, man. Like, you can really get on them and push them. And coach, we're really interested and you know, kind of getting into our next segments. But before we do, we're going to go over our next sponsor. This episode of Coach Speak is brought to you by our friends over at Tsunami Bar Sports, the leader in innovation for strength and performance training. If you've ever used a Tsunami bar, you know it's not your typical barbell. It flexes, it moves, and it forces your athletes to stabilize and recruit muscles they didn't even know they had. Whether it's in their weight room or on the field, Tsunami Bar is helping coaches build faster, more explosive, and more resilient athletes. From their patented bars to the torque training system, every product is designed to make your program stronger, smarter, and more efficient. Visit TsunamiBarSports.com and check out what they have to offer. And if you're serious about developing powerful athletes, it's time to train with the wave. That's 9 Bar Sports. Ride the wave of innovation. But yeah, so getting into, climbing the ladder, man, this is really interesting. You have a college career, and a lot of us, we're like, man, how do you break through in the college scene, and is it worth it and all that? But what did the grind as a D2 GA teach you that still shapes how you coach today?
Phew, so I mean, I was blessed, man. Shout out to my boy Brian Radakovich. We had a bunch of student interns, right? Like a bunch of undergrads that always worked with Slippery Rock. Like even when I was playing, right? Same dudes that you would see out and all that. I had one now, my boy Ratty. He's up at Bowdoin College up in Maine right now. He was most recently down your way at Methodist, right? So he was a great, he helped me out a ton, like all the film breakdown, all that stuff. But like the X's and O's side when I was a GA is something I really won't take for granted. Like the current OC at Sam Houston State, Zach Patterson, was kind of still in transition while I was kind of coming in. I was taking his role. So being able to sit with him and Chris Conrad, who's still the O-line coach there, man, like just getting in, diving into film, because my dad was a teacher. So my dad called the plays that year at GA at Slippery Rock. So he wasn't there all day. So it was on Coach Conrad, myself. We had another assistant as well that was in there. Where we kind of got after it, together, and learning that, how detail oriented it is to come into game planning and practice planning, even at that, man. Like I still use the same practice scripts that we used when I was a GA at Slippery Rock, like same template, because of that organization and that, way you set up every single minute of practice was something that when I was a GA, man, when you're playing, you just, hey, period 5, I know I'm going to this drill, right? Like you didn't realize the detail that went into it as a player. So when I put that hat on and that whistle on, man, being able to sit in there with some, very, very high knowledge guys, man, it really helped pave the way for me to be where I'm at right now, especially once again, when it comes to the organization side of it and, getting the game plan from my mouth to the kids' minds, man. Like it's definitely something I still use today.
And I think I've obviously never been at the college level, but I've seen college schedules, different examples. And I think the biggest thing, at multiple stops is just that experience of finding out what works for the situation you may be given. It's like, like for example, there's one platoon, there's two platoon, there's offense and defense goes at the same time. Or so for 7-on-7, we split a period, and it's like,
Crossover. Yep.
there's just so many, the practice schedule. And, for example, we brought JV up for the playoffs, and we still sometimes struggle to fill a scout team to go at the same time. You know what I'm saying? It happens, just the numbers in high school football these days. But it is neat to kind of hear you say that you still use the same template. From that just goes to show how far ahead that schedule was at that time for you to still be using the same template now. And I remember something you told me. You were like, when you worked with Longo or at Slippery Rock or played for him, you said, man, he likes to split the field kind of in thirds. So he has like your pre-snap on the right, the play in the middle, and then your post snap on the left. And then, like a year later, I heard Sarkisian talking about it. Like, we're going to fix the leverage, we're going to run the ball, and then we're going to handle the +1 defender. And it was like, man, a lot of these great minds, it's like they've been knowing all this stuff for a long time, the stuff that just kind of trickled down. And like you said, we're blessed to be around those guys, and have access to all the things that we do. What lessons do you think you took from Lake Norman and Fort Mill that has helped you as a coordinator? Because you call it, correct? You're calling offense?
Yeah, I still call it. Yeah, I call the offense now. Yeah.
Oh, we're going to get into that too in a minute. But go ahead. What do you think your stops in the Carolinas have? Because you were a coordinator at D3 and then now head coach. And so talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, like in the Carolinas, man, the biggest thing was like, I'm going from a Division II scholarship program now to, going to coach high school ball. I mean, Lake Norman, one of the bigger high schools in North Carolina, right? And then same thing with Fort Mill. Like both of those stops, man, like really taught me, like, for example, at Lake Norman, I remember my first spring ball going out there, I had like 33 receivers, right? I'm like, man, I got 33 guys in my position group. Like, hold up, right? So like being able to make sure that like, hey, I get all 33 kids work. They're out here for a reason, right? Like the 10, 15 kids that might be 9th to 10th graders ain't just going to stand there. Like, we got to get them developed too. So, like, learning in that bigger program environment, and same thing at Fort Mill, like, once again, 20 receivers. It's like, man, like, being able to organize just your position group alone was something that I had to really teach myself. And now I'm able to teach my coaches on my staff. Like, I got some guys who were, played football, but now I got to help, hey, when you do your indie, let's set it up this, and this, right? Let's make sure we're focusing on these points because we're running these plays, right? So being able to sit there and learn and to be honest with you, like in the Carolinas, man, football was a little bit ahead of what Western PA high school football was at the time when I got there, in my opinion, too. Like, the complex part of it, right? So, like, learning a lot more about defenses, even when I was down in the Carolinas, a lot of guys were doing a lot of different things, man. Like, I really had to hone in on those. So, being in the Carolinas, once again, at bigger schools with, a lot of good athletes, really taught me a lot to help me get to where I am now. Cause like right now on my team, I got like 40, 41 kids like I had this year. Right. So I'll be sitting around like 45 total. So, being able to see, and like going back to what you said, Dustin, about like two platooning or what it may not be. Like, I remember there was a time at Lake Norman where we couldn't really two platoon. Like, we kind of had to split the practice and go offense, defense, right? Because we didn't have enough big boys up front. Okay. So, like, we had to make sure. So that those things there really taught me a lot when I came back to PA to help me, be prepared for where I am now, for sure.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about just the skill set of being able to adapt and problem solve. All right, it's never like the right thing at Lake Norman may not be the right thing at Westminster, or where you're at now. I can't pronounce the name of the school, but no, but the ability to problem solve and say, we have to have these things no matter what, these principles no matter what, and we got to make it work. And just going back to, in the Carolinas, you have, most schools have a class, they're lifting during the day, they can probably, half of that's probably film, and then you get some sort of practice, maybe you can put in some leadership stuff, and then but maybe where you're at now, you got a time crunch, and like you said, you can't keep them. You guys are probably practicing right now and it's freaking 12 degrees outside. And it's like, and that might not be nothing for y'all, but maybe it is. I don't know. But you got to be mindful of that,
Oh, no doubt. Like, that's that was definitely something you got to be ready for here, because trust me, I'm pushing to get a class. Like, I'm trying so hard to get that advanced PE. Don't get me wrong. But like, that's a process in itself. Like, got to write the proper documentation, get it off to the school board, get it approved. Like, there's a lot more to it than saying, hey, can we get an advanced weight training class? Like, you got to get the right teacher in there.
Not to mention the hoops you're going to have to jump through with guidance to get all of them in there at the same time during the same class. That's because I know schools that have the class, but they're like, oh, we can't make it work to get everybody in there at once. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like, oh, well, I guess we're fortunate they at least all have a class, but it's like, we need them all in the same class. But, it's funny. Jamie said, like, what works at Lake Norman may not work at Westminster but it's like, what works at Cannon in 22 might not work at Cannon in 23. And that was something that and I think that's important too, to understand, hey, you may have years where there's a lot of linemen and you can go two platoon. But I feel like, I think my first year at Cannon, we went two platoon, every position group except that position group. And then there was a whole nother problem solving. How do we use that position group for both sides of the ball? And I think Jamie did a little bit of that too the years previous, but it was like, we can't let every other position group be held back and limit them to half here, just because we don't have enough linemen. So we tried to be creative and, hey, they're going to go through DB the entire practice and we'll just figure it out with the OLDO guys.
Yeah. I mean, coaches too, that's tough too. Like, I remember a couple years we really didn't have an offensive line coach. So it's like, I got to kind of be down there for inside run and, it's just all kinds of stuff that you have to do. But
it was wild because that first year I was at Canyon, I think Caleb leaned on me for the OL still. And he said, hey man, is there any way you can like help with OL and be present in like inside run? I said, dude, I got to be at defense 7-on-7, defense inside run. And you want me to try to be at offense inside run? I said, yeah, man, we'll make it work. We'll figure it out, dude.
We're going to split practice. Yeah.
Next thing you know, 40 minutes of inside run later, I was like, all right, well, like, jeez, but
and that's something that like that you're saying that like helped me too though, because like you said, like it might be offensive 7-on-7, but then you want to go down and watch some of your younger guys maybe in the spring, right? So like now it's on the flip side for me. Like, I really don't have a big hand on the defense, but I'm going to D-line drills. I'm going to linebacker drills. I'm going to the DB Indy. So, like, now I'm really taking that. Like, I'm really taking it for granted. Like, back then it was like I was just running back and forth, right? Like, nonstop. But now I'm able to stop, soak it all in. You know, even when we're in offensive position groups, like, yeah, I'll help with the quarterbacks, but man, like, I'm able to, you know, go watch what the O-line's doing, making sure that we're doing exactly what we want for the game plan. So I really am in a good position where, one, I got the staff. Like, you know, I'm too deep at every position, right? And yeah, a lot of them coach both sides, but we do have a guy that's like, hey, specifically O-line, specifically D-line, but they're working together on both sides of the ball. So, like, you know, I didn't realize back then in the Carolinas, like, how much you know, was going on, but now I'm able to oversee the whole thing. It's really nice.
Yeah. I was going to ask you if you coach quarterbacks specifically, or do you have someone coach the quarterbacks for you, and then you kind of oversee the offense?
So last year, my first season as head coach, I actually had my quarterback who played for me at Westminster. So he coached them. He was you know, he was our full-time quote unquote quarterback coach. He's in PT school. This year he was on a hospital rotation. So I kind of had to step back into that role. But the cool part is, you know, I have my father and my grandfather, who my grandfather was my quarterback coach. My dad was my quarterback coach for me when I was the OC at Westminster. So, like, you know, we kind of had three minds that were all kind of there to help our quarterback situation, which is, you know, pretty sweet, where we all kind of think the same. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, yeah, if they didn't have the answer, oh, go see Coach Little Barnes or whatever they call me, my dad, you know, but so, yeah, I was a little more hands-on with the quarterbacks this year, but last year I was blessed to have a guy who played for me, you know,
That's awesome.
So.
Yeah, I remember when I was at York, Bobby made me the coordinator, and I didn't coach a position. It was kind of wild. Spencer did quarterbacks. We had a running back you know, it was all kind of, and I was kind of overseeing. I was like, this is kind of odd. And
that was
we
me
ended
at
up
West
kind of
Mini.
transitioning. Spencer ended up going to defense, and I took over quarterbacks. But it was like an interesting thing. And then when I got to Cannon, I was kind of in your shoes too. I'm calling the offense, and then I got to coach quarterback too. And it was kind of hard to see every little detail. So you really do have to trust your coaches on that. And that's why hiring is important.
Very important, right?
All right,
that
so
was me at Westminster too.
Let's get into let's get into this. So I don't know if there's a big debate out there about this, but I know some people believe that in just being true head ball coaches, and some people believe in being the head coach, but also calling one side or the other. Bongi, I'll start with you, man. I just like, obviously you're head coach and you call it, you know what I'm saying? What's your outlook on it? You know, do you think there's a certain time where you go, you know what, I'm just going to be the head coach and I'm going to let people do it? Or do you feel personally like, man, if I'm coaching, I'm probably going to try to call it as long as I can? Like what do you think about it?
I mean, you're asking me right now. I probably say, like, yeah, I want to call it, right? Just because where I'm at. You call me in 10 years, I don't know. Maybe that answer will change, right? But I don't know. Like, I think being a head guy, you know, especially at the high school level, right? Like, and if I was at a bigger school where we were more, hey, two platoon offense, defense, like, you know, I might feel differently, right? Like, I might feel like I'd rather be the head coach and oversee the 80, 90, 100 guys in the program, right? 9 through 12. But, you know, being at a small school like 45, like I said, my biggest number will probably touch 50-ish at some point over the next couple years, maybe a little bit bigger. I really think that I need to have that hand in the offense, and it's something that I feel comfortable with, right? Like, you know, it would have to be I get somebody who knows my style and knows kind of what direction I want to take the offense, right? You know, defensively, I'm going to leave it up to, you know, whoever my defensive coordinator is at that point. You know, I've never really touched on it. Yeah, if I had to do it, I would. I understand defenses. Obviously, you know, I'm able to over there articulate, hey, this is what I want to see. This is what I see from the opposing offense, right? But, you know, I trust the defensive coordinator. So if I got to that point where I trusted a guy on the offensive side, yeah, I mean, I probably would take a step back and be like, you know what, hey, let me just oversee the whole thing. But as of right now, today, yeah, I'm going to say, like, I got to call it.
Yeah, no, and I think it's something too, man, when you look like Giffin's calling his offense. You know, like there are people at the highest level that still call one side of the ball. And I think for me, it's more about how much of a touch do you still want to have in the scheme part of the game. You know what I'm saying? I think, like you're saying, if you're at a big school, and I think you need to be, we'll look at it as true CEO. Like if that's, you know, if that's what that school takes, you know what I'm saying? for me personally, there would have to be a lot that was pulling on my hand for me not to want to call one side. You get what I'm saying? And who knows? Like, let's say, for example, one day I'm a head coach and both of you are on my staff. And, hey, Jamie, you do the defense, Bonds, you do the offense, and hey,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like then you got. I think it's still fine, but I think I did learn how much being a head coach pulls from you from the scheme. You know what I mean? Like, you know, also it was private school. Scheme wasn't as high. I didn't have to do as much on defense, but like I do way more now than I did as a head coach and a defensive coordinator. So I can see the pros to both, but I enjoy the strategy part of it too much to give it up right now. But you said, call me in 5-10 years. Who knows?
Yeah,
right?
I think you got to look at, all right, there's so many roles on a team, on a staff. So whether that be scheme, analytics, opponent breakdown, then you have like the administrative tasks that have to be done each week. Somewhere you're going to have to offload one or the other, you know, like especially like I think about like in the Carolinas, at like when you're at Fort Mill or at Rock Hill right now, where there's a lot on the head coach from an administrative standpoint. So if you're going to call one side and really put in, let's say it's 20 hours a week just on the offense, right? You're going to have to offload something else onto somebody, whether that be administrative, or if you're going to call it, you're going to have to offload some of the game planning or some of the little details of practice scripting. I mean, a lot of that's scripting, and a lot of that's, you know, we're not done on Sunday. Like really, we only do first and second down in the green, you know, in
Sunday's
between
the
the 20s on
start.
Sunday. And
Just
then
the
it's like,
start.
okay, Monday, you know, we're really dialing in on that. And then Tuesday we're working on, you know, the read form. I mean, it's all the time. I don't even know how I would, but that's why, you know, coaches don't teach. Head coaches don't teach. So that's something else.
Yeah, that's the other thing down there. A lot of head coaches don't teach. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like up here, it's a
Yeah.
little bit different. Like me,
Yeah.
I teach for a cyber school that, you know, is based in the whole state, right? So I
Mhm.
work from home all day, which I have the luxury, you know, I mean, I have the luxury where I am able to do a little football work throughout the day as well. Like I'm not in a classroom for 7, 8, 9
Right.
periods a day.
Mhm.
So like, you know, I do have a little bit more flexibility with my, you know, with my work schedule, obviously to be able to do, you know, sneak that half hour in to maybe knock a half hour out throughout the
Yeah.
day before I even get to the school. Right.
Yeah.
So I do have that flexibility, but up here, you know, every coach I know, majority of them are teachers, and they're teaching 7 periods a day of history or whatever it may be, right? So
Yeah.
it's definitely a lot harder on.
Dustin didn't have to teach it old Cannon, but old Jamie did. I had
Hey,
two
brother,
honors. I had two freaking honors, like social studies courses, where like all these professor level teachers are like grinding, and I'm like trying to keep up. And I got college coaches coming by, and I'm stepping out into the hallway like, "Hey man, hold on guys, I got to go talk to dang what's his name from Stony Brook or whatever." You
So
know,
my
like hold on, and then Dustin comes in, he's freaking living the dream.
man,
Yeah, he
it's-
lived the dream for sure.
ain't no doubt.
100%, dude.
Ain't no doubt. Well, I mean that. Hey man, they just give the next guy what they want. You know what I mean? Like just being honest, not throwing no shade out there. Like, but I'm gonna call it how I call it. Jamie
Yeah, I was like,
did,
hey, I don't want to teach. I don't.
Jamie
I'm doing all
said-
the laundry. I got nobody on campus except for our receiver coach, which is excellent. Shout out to Coach
Yeah.
Fox, did a lot for us.
great
And
guy.
and that's pretty much it, guys. So if you want me to, you know, coordinate the offense, do a lot of special teams,
Jamie
freaking wash all the girdles, you know, like
Jamie was like, hey,
teach 2 honors classes and do an advisory.
Jamie
Shout
was
out
like,
Cannon, though. They got their money's worth. But shout out to Cannon though. What a cool place. and to Cannon, and I know we're kind of joking around, but Cannon had never hired a full-time football coach until me. So that when they hire, and that wasn't just me, they were opening up that position, and that was a big step for them. And and so they, you know, it worked for us, man. So
nah, man. But yeah, coach, I agree with you. You got to offload some things. And, you know, I think this is a great time to talk about one of our sponsors that helps offload a lot of work in the strength world. And that's Team Builder, the all-in-one strength conditioning platform trusted by coaches at every level. You can design programs, track progress, and communicate with your athletes, all one simple, powerful platform. Whether you're coaching high school weight room or a full college level performance program, they help you train smarter, not harder. You can schedule workouts, monitor data like volume and intensity, and even send videos or notes directly to your athletes, keeping everyone accountable and connected. Head over to teambuilder.com and check out how coaches around the country are using it to elevate their programs and offload their work. Try a free 30-day trial with the promo code CoachSpeak.
All right, Coach, what is the core identity of your offense at Neshannock?
Oh man, I mean, I've been rolling with this one for a while, man. Fast, physical, adaptable. Those are our little motto there, right? It's been something that we've been since actually Dustin taught me about Draw.io on the Google platform. When my first page, man, that's kind of the mentality. Fast, physical, adaptable is what we want to play, man. That's just something that I don't know where it came up. I honestly think it could have been my quarterback at Westminster helped me make it up too. But man, like that's just something that we really believe in, man. We want to play fast. I love playing with a tempo offensively. We want to bring that physicality, and we got to be able to adapt, man. Defenses are ever changing. Yeah, like week by week, think about it, man. Like how many different defenses you see in a season alone, right? They might be 4-4 cover 3, but they play it all a different way, right? Like, at the end of the day, so being able to adapt to those different things is something that something I really believe in, man. Like, and that's one of our biggest things that our kids buy into too, is that adaptability, right? Like they believe it and they see it, that we're going to be simple, so we can play fast, but being able to see what the defense is doing. And like Dustin was saying earlier, man, whether it's that +1 or not, how are we putting him in conflict, right? Who's our conflict guy? So they know, hey, one play might be this guy, one play might be that guy, whoever it may be, but they know how to adjust to that on the fly in game, which is really nice.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I think every offense, or even really any part of the football phase, or any phase of football, has to have an identity. I love that. How do you balance your scheme with like personnel? Do you that adaptability piece, does that mean that you will adapt your offensive scheme year to year based on your personnel? How talk through it?
Absolutely, man. Like, once again, being at a smaller school, a lot of your guys are going to play both ways, right? So knowing what personnel, like, hey, that offense just went on a 14-play drive, man, and we stopped them on a 4. Like, on our starting outside receivers, our middle linebacker who made 6 tackles on that drive, right? So how are we going to adapt? Like, we got to get out from our we're backed up right now. We got to get out. We know he's our best playmaker. We can't just hit him on the bubble right now and let him go make a play. He's dead tired, right? So maybe we do got to get into 12P and maybe try to get on the perimeter somehow, or get a nice trap down the middle, get something to where we could get out of that area to give that guy a blow, right? So I really think that, the biggest thing that I've been learning year in and year out now here is being able to adapt that personnel, or adapt, your scheme to your guys, man. Like that's really something that, a lot of people say that they're going to do. That's something we've really taken ownership of. Like we had 2 really good running backs this year. This is the most 20P and 21P I've probably ever put on the field in my entire life. Right. And it might not even have been enough, in my opinion. Right. Like once you're going back now and doing yourself scouts, but like that was where we're at, man. We had to get in more 20P. We started doing some of that go-go stuff, learning that a little bit differently and giving our guys the ball, right? Like, how are we going to get our outside receiver the ball in 21P? All right, let's figure it out, right? So those are some things that we really take ownership of as a staff right now, especially is, hey, who are your dudes that are playing both ways? And how can we make sure that we put them in successful situations, even when they're tired, right?
Yeah.
Because that's something that you gotta have a factor in that. So we have really, really tried hard to make sure that we adapt to our kids year in and year out. Like we're losing 16 seniors, right? A lot of them played for us. So next year, our identity is going to be totally different. We're still going to be fast, physical, adaptable, but how are we going to do that with the personnel we're having, right? Are we going to be young? Are we not, right? Like we got a lot of question marks we'll have to answer. So we got to adapt to that for sure.
Yeah, I like that. And, while you were kind of going through that, I just kind of started thinking, all right, there's 2 things I want to talk through with y'all, because I think y'all are both brilliant. All right, we'll start offense first, then we'll talk defense. All right, offensive. If you have a really good receiver, okay, but you could only put him inside or outside, like you couldn't, I'm going to move him around. Where do you think the best receiver should go in y'all's opinion? Bongi, you'll start it off, man. Would you rather have him in the slot or out wide?
In my offense,
yeah.
I mean, let's just take it for face value, because obviously there's a lot of factors. Lineman, running back, quarterback, right? We'll just take it for face value.
Everybody else is a dog. Everybody else is a dog, except your receivers. You got one. Yeah.
I'm putting them in the slot for me personally. Like, being in this air raid style that I like to run, man, a lot of stuff's controlled through our slot. And I know a lot of defensive guys are like, man, if you could jam number 2 and 2x2, you're going to knock off the whole pattern. So I'm going to put them in situations where, it's easy jet sweeps. I started doing a lot of orbit and jet motion options, flat route, slips to the flat. We were doing some return motions, running option as well. So I'm gonna put my guy in the slot, get him touches, whether it's running the ball, catching it, or even if he got to throw it. That's just what I would do personally.
Jamie,
what about you, Coach?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've always said before this year that the slot we really run like a 11 personnel, and so or 20, but it's like the slot has always gotten the most targets and yards and touchdowns like for like the last 6 or 7 years. But this year, I don't know. I guess it's kind of the same. But man, we've had a really good Z, and I think the more I think about it too, and that's our field. He typically lines up to the field on the outside, and sometimes that guy is really difficult to cover, especially if you have a quarterback that can throw it. Because how many teams are really gonna, like meg the guy to the field? And if they do, it's, you're kind of taking a corner out of coverage, that could be trapping the slot, or that could be, all right, now you're going to play off of him. So now you're working, your fin routes, you're working your smash off of him. We've just been able to really do a good job of getting the ball to that player, where we haven't really done that in years past, because that player is the best Z I've ever had. I've never really had 3 good ones. We've had 3 good ones this year. And so now we're seeing a really even spread, just going back and looking at the targets, not even just targets, but actually receptions from the X, the single receiver side, the Y, and the Z. And I think it's just because we have good players everywhere. But I think if you could only have one dog, he's got to play your slot for sure. He's going to get the slant. He's going to get the corner routes. He's going to get the cell routes. He's going to get the jet sweeps and the screens and the bubbles. Yeah, I think he's going to. You can feed him easier. I think if you have a dog at slot. But
and it's funny you say that though, because like beginning of the year, I started a kid in the slot, right? And, I was like, yeah, he's our dog, right? Like he's going to play the slot. By the end of the year, man, he only specifically lined up on the left outside, man, a lot. Like, so I had to get a little more creative. So it's funny you say it that way. Like, yeah, I'm going to say the slot's got to be my guy. But it just worked out that way.
I think it depends on who run and how they run the routes. I mean, like, I think receivers are different. I mean, I really do think that all 3 positions for us on offense really have 3 different skill sets. Like we have a true X that if I was going to line it up, the slot receiver has to be able to run inside breaking routes and outside breaking routes. The X receiver doesn't necessarily have to be really, really good at like running a sail route. What they have to be good at is running obviously fades and posts and slants. But and the Z, he's really been like the 3rd guy. He's going to run your curls. He's going to be your more possession receiver type kid. But now if you can take the top off with him, you really got a chance to be explosive. But yeah, it's interesting to see, and we're blessed to have those guys here at Rock Hill.
And you flip them, right, Coach? You flip them from side to side, don't you?
I do. They only play one side of the ball or one position. Yeah, and that allows us to play
keep them left and right.
Yeah, and there's a lot of validity in that too, especially if they're similar. We could probably do that this year. And I think had I stayed at Kings Mountain, we had an X and a Z that were interchangeable. And we were going to be able to, we were talking about that before I transitioned to Rock Hill, but it was like, I think we can play a little faster and play, Tex at X. He's a really good player, and we had a really good X receiver or a Z receiver called X. So Tex and X would be playing X and Z, but yeah, they're both really good players that can stretch the field vertically. And then we had a couple good slot kids. So, but yeah, it just depends. I think year to year.
I think the way I would look at it, I'm not looking at it from my system right this second. I'm looking at it from a defensive standpoint. I think the slot guys are the easiest guys to double cover.
Yeah,
I think your boundary
triple cover, man. You can push the mic. I mean, there's all kinds.
Oh yeah,
of
you
stuff,
have inside, outside, and on top. Not thinking about an offensive system at all. I would say boundary outside. That's what I would say, because if they bracket him, the Z's open. Like you can't if they're 2-on-1 in the boundary, one of the other receivers there's a DB, unless you're dropping 8, who's got to cover 2 zones or 2 people. It's as simple as it is. So if you're going to bracket the X in the boundary, that's fine. That means you're not flooding the coverage or you're dropping 8. So it's like,
all right, here's a good one. All right, outside of quarterback, where would you want your dog to play at any offensive position?
Ooh.
What OL do I have?
Nah, just say it's a standard
You just
OL.
gotta pick it.
Standard OL. I'm thinking running
I'm probably
back.
gonna have to say
You can't
running
say
back.
running
I'm gonna have
back.
to
He's
I
say
gonna
was
running
gonna
touch
back.
it
say-
like 5 times as much as anybody else.
This
There's
I'm
more
gonna have
this
to say
likely
will
to score a
running back.
touchdown.
this
Yes,
will drop next
agree.
week, and the team we play Friday in the second round, they got a running back, and he's really good. He's a dog,
He's
and he
good.
carries that team in the Pavia fashion is how he carries that team at running
Okay.
back. And
Okay.
so I'm ask me again next week.
I'll say this too. I think running backs, and this is just something I thought about. This year we have a sophomore running back. I think they develop faster than any position on the field because
It's
I guess they
insane.
touch it so much. I think
Yep.
it's literally one of those things where they probably have, I don't know, what is it, 6, 7 times the touches of any receiver you have. So they're gonna get better
Think about it.
faster. But yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it's weird to think about that. I don't know why I just thought about that. But
All
yeah,
right,
if you have
It
a
is
really
funny.
not great running back, they're probably gonna be a lot better at the end of the year.
Yeah, like when I got to Neshannock, he was a sophomore, a running back who's a senior this year, right? And just seeing his growth from like even last year when he was a junior, I'm like, man. And then this year, it's like, he was that kid who wouldn't stop asking questions like, Coach, why are they comboing it this way? Why'd they do this? Why'd they do this? Like, leave me alone, right? Like, but it was so cool to see that progression and then
Yeah.
watching him articulate it back to you. And then on the flip side of it, I had a freshman last year who's my backup. Kid was a sophomore this year. Same thing, like, and he's not like the guy where you're like, man, you're gonna put him up on the board right now with us three and tell him to draw up inside zone. Like, he might draw it right whenever should be left. You know what I mean? But he was able to see it and articulate it on the field so well and talk to the other running back, man. Like, you are right though. Like, seeing their growth is crazy. Like, I can't
And
wait
I
to
guess
see what our
too,
kid
they're in
does
the
next year.
box. Yeah, and I think they're in the box too. I just think that there's so much football that goes on in there with the scheme of like run scheme and then pass protection and then you have them in the passing game. I think they're
Yep.
kind of like a second quarterback. We actually had
And then
our backup running back actually transitioned to H back like within a week. And it was like seamless. I mean, obviously, he knows all the blocking schemes. We just had to, work a little bit of technique. But yeah, it's just interesting.
And I think on the flip side, defensively, it helps them too. Like me, once again, like my running back was my starting free. Like the way last year, he didn't fill a run lane like he did this year, man. Like my man was coming down because he understood the concepts. He's seen, down block puller. Like, man, I'm going to go fill that gap right where my linebacker, right after he takes on that puller, man, I'm going to meet that running back at the hole. And it really showed this year for our guy.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, some big hits.
Yeah. All right, here was my second part to that question. All right, switching to defense. If you got really good DBs, do you think you play zone or man coverage? If you
With
really
zero,
good
baby.
DBs.
My coaching staff would kill me if they watch this and I don't say blitz zero. They'll choke me, right? But in my personal opinion, I like playing zone, man. Like if you could bring some fire zones, little zone pressures, man. Like I just think at the high school level, especially where we're at, where like I'll be in double A next year, so I'm in the smallest classification this year. But if you're able to bring some heat and still play some zone behind it, where your athletes got their eyes on the ball, you definitely can make
That's
some
a good
plays.
point. That's what I was thinking too. Is like, you look at like maybe some of the best defenses of all time have been zone, and I think it's because they create the most takeaways. And so, like, okay, what kind of defense do you want? Do you want a lot of sacks, which are great, or do you want some takeaways? I don't know. I think maybe the question that maybe goes deeper, would you rather have really good safeties or really good corners? And I'll leave that one to Dustin.
All day.
It depends. It depends if we're playing man or zone.
All right, answer the first part and then answer the second part.
So all right, let's all right. So my thinking
hypotheticals. This is going to be the
well, I've transformed a lot this year. So this year has been a unique situation. Became the defensive coordinator mid-July, and obviously my bread and butter, we did not have time to rep or install. Like my bread and butter is exactly what that hat over there says, and it's Ripley's match, and it's 3 match, and it can turn into cover 1 or cover 3 based on what the offense does. This year we ran a lot more spot drop zone. I won't say cookie cutter because we still related to patterns and we still matched routes and did some things. And I looked at Jamie and said, I won't say there's not any. There are very few teams that throw the ball well enough to where you have to run every sophisticated coverage out there. This year has changed my outlook, and I love every year I feel different in the end of each year because that just means I'm learning and I'm moving forward. I would say if you have better DBs, I'm going to play more zone moving forward because the recovery time is ridiculous when you have really good DBs. I've seen a corner who's supposed to play just deep third this year, and he's kind of playing like a cover 2 technique and pick the ball off at 18 yards when they run a corner route. I feel like it's kind of like man coverage limits them. It's like it's for example, it's the difference in gap and zone run scheme. Gap, you're kind of limiting them to a gap. Zone, you're letting the athlete make the right read, the right vision, the right cut, and always make you right.
So like if you have a really good corner, for instance, he can play divider leverage perfect and cover 2 routes.
Yes, he can. In general,
zone.
Better athletes can cover 2 zones. So
that's what I'm saying. Like he's the recovery piece. I agree with that. Is what I'm saying. Like, yeah, you're limiting him on like one particular receiver, obviously, or you can have him play a zone where, hey man, he might still be kind of out of position, but man, he can break on a ball and cover you know what I mean? Like drives on a dig and oh crap, I got to get back. I think we did that against one of our DBs because I think we have excellent DBs. And like he's playing like a dig and a post. I'm like, this is like stupid. Like that's
I think, you know, all right, then you flip it to us as offensive people. We see zone, we're licking our chops. We're gonna shred shred it up. But it's like
I think it's because you don't have to be as accurate.
Yeah, and it's like, but in what I've learned in high school, not enough quarterbacks thread the needle. Not enough quarterbacks.
There's not enough accurate quarterbacks.
Yep. And it's like we can make a quarterback think a route is capped when it's really not capped. You know, like a sail route. The sail route, a lot of people teach break at 12 and get to 15 to 18, continue to get deeper. Well, if there's a safety to sail dropping at 10 yards, that quarterback ain't throwing it unless he just don't care and he's just going to try to drop it in the hole. But it's like, that's kind of that changed my outlook a little bit this year. I'm like, you know, I've probably been around the best DBs I've coached in a long time this year. And we have gotten a lot more out of less, you know. And like I said, we don't run just spot drop quarters and bail in your zone. You know, we still match routes and do some things. But I looked at Jamie early on. I was like, the recovery time is ridiculous. Like the out of position on a slant and the undercut break is ridiculous. It's man, this year's been so fun. It has been a learning year. It has been, and every year me and Bolton talking all season, it's like, dude, did we know anything last year? Did we know anything the year before? Because every year it's just like
I was an idiot like 12 months ago.
Yeah.
I'll be an idiot after next year. You know,
no
like,
doubt. Hey,
still
growth mindset, man, always.
Right.
But man, you ready to move to rapid fire, Jamie? Dude, this has been great. Dude,
we're already in an hour. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm a blast.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Rapid fire. Let's do it.
All right, Coach. Favorite formation to call plays from?
3-by-1 tight end off.
All right, yeah.
3-by-1.
All right, you gotta give us some good plays out of that.
Ah, man, I love it. If you got good 11P, you got to have that tight end, right? I love 3-by-1 tight end off. You know, your typical zone, split zone, with your, you know, post snap RPO from your single and pre snap from your, you know, two receivers there, whether you're just throwing straight bubble, you're throwing stay screen, whatever it may be. Outside zone, right? Being able to go a little like zone option or counter tag option. That's another thing that we loved. We ran a lot of counter tray option this year, right? Motion in and return, like little return motion from your field side slot, coming back to it, right? You know, I just think it gave us a lot of flexibility. You know, our rollout game, our quarterback was good on the rollout this year, so we're able to get out on the perimeter, ran like 3 or 4 different variations of flood that we really liked out of it, and we were hitting that tight end right in the seam there. So, yeah, I mean, I think I got to hang my hat on that. I really
Love
do.
it. As the head coach, man, you get the benefit of putting who you want at tight end.
Right,
A
right.
lot of
That's the
guys have been, man, it's
benefit.
a good looking tight. Nah, coach, we have those are D linemen. Man, there's like 8 of them. All right, can they all play damn strong defensive end? I mean,
Oh, yeah. Right?
we,
That's the
uh,
benefit for sure.
but yeah, no, I always look at these other teams and they're like they got like 2 and 3 tight ends. I'm like, man, we have like a running back at 8. You know, it's
Well,
like,
my guys all got hurt this year too at the beginning of it. So then ended up getting a kid who was a receiver. Like we finally found a
yeah,
niche for him like halfway through the year. You know, he gets his ankle rolled up on. He's like, Coach, I want to play tight end. And I'm like, all right, let's go. And man, was he able to just, do the little things right. Like might not have been the most devastating fold tight end when he's folding up on a linebacker, but my man knew how to get in the way, and our
heck
running
yeah,
backs were good enough to make a cut off of him. So like even running, our zone lock stuff, like we'd run some zone lock, him folding back underneath, like he definitely did a lot for
love
us.
it.
But that's some of the things I like, 3-by-1 tight end off.
Heck yeah,
Mhm.
Give
man,
me a lot of it.
I love it. I'm right there with you.
Jamie, is that yours?
Oh gosh, I really like 12 personnel, like nub wing, like twins to the field with the tight end weak with the wing, like the H back weak. We call it
Wait, yeah.
over. I really like that formation. I like pro. We call it pro over, but I think you got a lot of good 2-man concepts. I think you got a nice little surface to the boundary, or you can even run to the FIB. I really like that formation a lot. That's probably my favorite. I don't know if that's obviously not our most common, but I think just my favorite to kind of get creative out of it. You can run a lot of different things. You can shift to it. You can run some jet stuff. You can hit some reverses off the backside. You got 2 eligible receivers on that side that give some issues. So I think you found
Mhm.
some good bubbles there, and I like it because it's typically our Y and Z. So now all of our same concepts apply. Like if we want some man beater stuff, we can get some rub routes that way if they want to play man. I think it causes a lot of issues. That's probably my favorite formation to call plays from, even though it's probably my least common, just because
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
personnel thing. I think it's for
Yeah.
us. It's a change up, not necessarily our rhythm.
Mhm.
We did that too. We'd motion our quarterback out of it too. We'd let our
Sick.
quarterback move out, let our running
Heck
back
yeah,
step in. We'd run
that's
some
sick.
little RPOs with some split zone out of it.
Heck
Like he's
yeah.
either throwing it or running it. So we did a few of
Yeah.
those too.
We've been running a lot of unbalanced sets. So like we'll put like an extra tight end in and we'll have like this unbalanced surface. And then what we do end up doing is like playing with the personnel behind it where it's like
Mhm.
wildcat with the H back and we have like the Z's off and he's, doing the jet motion with the X and the quarterback. And then we'll do like some diamond stuff. We'll do double H's with
Okay.
one receiver. So like 31, like we just try to play around all year with this same surface. That way all of our blocking schemes are the same but like everything
Okay.
in the backfield looks completely different, and then we have like different little tags off of it. It's been fairly effective. I mean, it's all kind of the same to the defense, I'm sure, from like a run fit, but I think there's different like reverse pieces or end around
Yeah.
or flow. I think it's more of a fake flow flood stuff, but yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go defense. I like calling out a nickel. That's my favorite.
Mhm.
Nickel pieces everything together. We can strong rotate. You can sim. You can do pretty much whatever you want. You can walk the backer. You can rotate weak. Nickel's my favorite. But I do think there's a place for 4-3. There's certain teams you're going to go against. But when I was calling offensive plays, I was always a huge trips nub guy. I don't know why. I
Like
think
it.
that if you play a 2 high team, there's some issues because they're probably going to cloud the nub side and play some 2. So now if you have a tight end that can vertical stretch with a corner and the back and the flat, now you have your 3, some 3 middle field, 3 stuff. If they're a 1 high team and they play 3-over-3, well, now there's a 4-2 box and a corner's your force player. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it makes you think a little bit. How do you want to do it? Some people put corner in the post and have safety down, which is probably a little bit
Mhm.
better way to do it.
Yeah.
But nah, man, it's that was one of mine.
And I think that's too why I kinda like going back to the twins with the nub with the wing is now you can, like, shift the nub out to, like or I'm sorry, shift the wing out to Trip's nub, and now you got, like, this
Yeah.
other weird situation that they have to,
Oh, that
think about.
that formation you're talking about. You got a 4-man surface and you got twins, three, and
Correct.
and then you can shift the H and have 3-man
Mhm.
surface on both
We've
sides.
played teams
Like,
that'll do, like, corner over, and then we'll just take, like, a really good receiver and then, like, motion them out. Now you got, like, deuce, what we call it, into the boundary, and now you got a nasty little matchup. So
And
I don't
especially
know.
at the boundary too.
No
Yeah,
I like
doubt.
burying trips in the boundary.
Heck
FIB all
yeah.
day. I love it.
Love it, man.
Coach, what would you say is one of the toughest defensive schemes that you see? And hopefully none of your opponents listen to this, but like, what do you hate going against? You're just like, God, dog, man, like this again. Like, what do you hate?
Man, I mean, we got a couple of them. Like, the odd front teams nowadays, like with all the honestly, our defense this year was like we ran a lot of the mug stuff, single mug, double mug, went to some of that Ohio State stuff. But some other teams were playing those odd fronts with the four techniques, and being able, the teams that we played with the fours had some good fours, man, and those really screwed our guys up. So playing the all with the fours, whether they were walking a guy upfield or boundary or both, like it definitely gave us some fits. So I don't get excited when I see 2-4 techniques, or even if it's just when I see one, I'm like, okay, I'm all right. But 2-4s and if they don't have a guy walked up on the edge, but they got a guy to control it, I'm like, man, really? Like, he's off. Yeah, he might be out in the alley, but man, he could play C gap right now. Like, it's tough here. That's me personally. Yeah, it's
2-4 techniques make me hit the Bobby Carroll. Yo.
Dude,
I'm
gonna say the exact same thing. I think the issue that the three-man front stuff.
I hate 4-2 cover 3.
Please don't run
that.
4-2 cover 3 weak, or like just quarters to the field and like 0 to the boundary ever. Wow, that sounded very pretentious, but no, the odd stuff, you have so many, it's easier for them to adjust. So like, let's say you got 2x2, they're odd, and then you like shift into, what we call twins, or, like what you're saying is like trips with the eight, I'm sorry, what do you call it? Tray with the Y off or whatever, we call it twins. But, yeah, it's just easier for them to adjust because typically their personnel on that second level is all kind of the same. But you get a nickel team, and now you can kind of dictate, okay, we're going to play formation to the boundary. What are they going to do with the nickel? And then now if we shift them back to the field, are they going to rotate? Are they going to spin? They have a lot more complicated, not really complicated, but I think the pieces have to move a lot more for a 4-down front team. Then obviously with odd, you get drop 8 stuff with a guy that can really cover in the flat. I know you can still do it with the 4-man front and peel. I get it, guys. I know guys are at home saying we can do the same, but I think it's just a little bit easier for those odd front teams to kind of get more multiple with their fronts. And man, if if you're an odd front, you probably have a really good 0 technique, and those guys can really cause some havoc. So
yeah, agreed.
Y'all. Yeah, odd front. Yeah. We're gonna see one this week. So
we saw one versus Catawba Ridge, and their 4s were good. Their 4 techniques were big,
very good.
tall.
It makes you solo. It makes you solo if you're not going to run some 2 tight end stuff. So, you got to be good at if you got really good tackles, then bring on odd front. If you're average or below average, then you got to get creative. And if they got 2 good 4s, you can't slide but to one of them. So one of them's going to be soloed. You can double the 0 and double the 4, but one of them's going to be on an island, and you got to have an answer. Chip him or whatever, but. Yeah, it just makes it a little more complicated. And then you got edge pressure, so now you got to check the big on big. They're going to bring internal pressure. They're going to, I know I'm trying to ramble here, but like they can show interior pressure and then bring the edges. So now you've checked your slide, but now you really need to be in big on big. So there's just a lot of crap that you got to kind of figure out. But
I would say the toughest scheme that I see is like 2-back counter bash. I mean, it's tough, but I mean, anytime the quarterback runs the ball, if you're not playing cover 0, you better have a guy who can cancel gaps, or you better have a way to get the safety out the roof, because numbers don't lie. And there's 5 linemen, there's 3 in the backfield. That's 8. So if you think you're going to stop 8 with 7, you better have some good players, because if you're not, it's take 8 to stop.
Yeah, 8. Man. Every defensive coach is going to say option football. like you gotta have guys that are willing to be a pitch player, be a quarterback player, be a dive player,
and be sound too.
Yeah,
and you got to be sound to it too. Like you got to make sure. Yes. I mean, we got 13 to 8 or 14 to 18-year-olds, man. Like they gotta, if they're going to be playing, I mean, they better be detail oriented.
Yes, that's the hardest people to prepare for. Yeah, read your keys and then make the tackle. And then simulate it in practice,
That's
read them.
That's the hardest part, man.
Read
That's
those
the hardest
keys.
part.
Yeah, we play
Read
an old
those
school wing T team. I'm talking their third and fourth grade team run the wing T. So like these kids run it.
Yes.
And man, they gave it to us this year. They gave it to us this year. We tried to just line up, come at them. Man, they came after us, and we weren't reading our keys. We gave up some big plays. Like, you got to stay disciplined to that stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, when apples are, when you compare apples to apples, that's probably the toughest stuff to stop. I mean, you don't see it in college much, just because it probably doesn't translate to the NFL. But like, could you imagine like Ohio State recruiting players to run the wing T? Like, it would be ridiculous,
Yeah.
or like Alabama or whoever, like, and that's what they did. It would be the most, I would think it'd be exciting to watch, but the average fan would not want to watch it. But like, they could probably run the crap out of that against all the Big Ten teams. Like, it would be like crazy 600 yard, 700 yard rushing games. And like,
not to mention they do like hurry up, like out of the huddle, like break the huddle and sprint to the line. Like,
that'd be crazy, man.
Coach, this is the last question. We appreciate you being on. Who's a coach?
Sure,
who is a coach you would love to go have a beer with and just talk some ball?
Man, that's a tough one. Honestly, and you said him earlier, man, I'd have to say Kiffin. I really would. You know what I mean? I don't know why. I love his offensive mindset. I love everything about him. He's a dude, right? At the end of the day, like,
biggest
somebody
troll
that can hang
of
out
all time.
He said,
Troll.
he said, I don't know what it's going to take for A&M to be one. You tell them to schedule harder opponents and non-conference. They go beat Notre Dame. What else you want them to do to be number one?
Right?
Crazy,
Like,
man.
I think he would be up there. I think that would be a good one. You got to think, like, somebody you could hang, like, we always use this phrase up here, like, you hang out in the basement, right? Like, and I think Kiffin could come hang out in the basement for sure. You know what I mean? Like, somebody that's going to be able to sit down, bust chops, have a good time doing it, and talk a little ball doing it as well. I'm gonna have to put him up on that list, man, for sure.
Yeah. I think Kiffin is the troll in the group chat. I think he's the type to text Kirby and all of them when they're about to play each other and get it going. I do. I'd say the last time we had a similar question, I said Saban, but man, I'd like to go sit down with Schumann or Smart down at Georgia. I'd like to, hey man, let's go chalk it up. Schumann
Let's
did
chalking it up, man. We're like talking about hanging out.
Let's just talk
Like, who's
ball,
going to
man.
hang out, man?
Oh, dude, dude, I'll hang out with Smart. I'll tell him, bring that megaphone and let's go hang out on the street. And I want him to yell what he yells in that megaphone at practice on the street.
Yeah.
I'd say dude
and
Orgeron,
man.
That would be great. Coach O would be
Dude, I'm talking about like hanging out, like, man, talking some ball, man.
32 pack of Red Bull he'd bring with him.
Yes. Yeah.
That'd be a good
I don't
one.
know, man. Probably. So I just think a lot of these guys are uptight, man. Like, you think about, like, you couldn't hang out with, like, Signetti. I just feel like he's just gonna be like
I played against Signetti. All the Signettis.
He's doing a great job, man. Like, he just seems like really kind of uptight. But I like maybe like Steve Spurrier. Like, get some stories from Steve Spurrier, man. Like that guy, and a lot of the young coaches are, they probably heard of him, but to watch his career, and he was the original Lane Kiffin. Like, if people don't remember, like, he was the biggest troll of all time. And I remember talking about the rivalry with Clemson when he was at South Carolina. He said, we won a state championship, and then him and Dabo would go back, and it was just really cool. I mean, I don't know. It was just really neat to watch him and his offensive scheme, and but yeah, he'd be a good one, I think. But
that'd be a good one.
Oh, Steve Spurrier.
R.I.P.
You know that he that he won the Heisman Trophy, and then the year that he did, they won the national championship at Florida. And I was reading a book about the SEC, and the kicker went on the field to kick the game-winning field goal. He waved the kicker off, and he kicked it to win.
Really?
Yes, and I don't know if it was in the national championship game or not, but that was a story that was in that book, man. That's pretty nuts, dude.
That's pretty nuts.
nuts.
Yeah.
He said, "No,
Yeah,
dude,
that's
I
something
got
I want
it.
to hear about.
I got
Yeah,
it."
I
He
got
kicked
you.
it through, man. What a
Wow.
cocky dude.
Yeah, no
Yeah, that'd be
doubt.
awesome.
It's pretty wild. Heisman Trophy winner. Yeah. Crazy.
If we're talking about past legends that have moved on and RIP, I think Mike Leach would have been a great dude
Oh,
to kick
yeah.
it in the basement with,
Yeah.
man.
yeah.
He
He'd
said,
be talking about whatever.
they said, Mike Leach, man,
Right.
Coach Leach, how do you like your coffee? I don't. It's terrible. But I don't drink it for the taste. Like, do you like your coffee? And the lady said, "Oh yeah." He said, "You're lying. It tastes terrible." Like,
That's awesome.
dude, but
I remember that.
man,
Yeah, that'd
Bonge,
be a good one.
he would be a good one. He'd be a good one, man. But Bonge, man, we appreciate you. This has been a great episode. A lot of laughs. This has been great, man. Proud of you. You know, excited to watch every year what you do. You know, you've been killing it. You had a great year this year, 7-4. That's huge, man. And you got fans down here in the Carolinas, you know, that keep up with you. And appreciate you being on. Jamie, you want to close us out?
Yeah, guys, don't forget to use the promo code CoachSpeak with our awesome partners. We have Ray Crowther, Team Builder Practice, R4 Football Systems, Pro Quick Draw, Dome Headwear, and Optimum Grading. Again, don't forget about our BSN CoachSpeak merch as well. And I'll be on the lookout we're going to do a giveaway through Dome Headwear in the near future, and we'll be getting some hats released too. So we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, Coach.
Fellas, appreciate you guys, man. Best of luck, moving forward. This is awesome, man. Thank you again for having me. Really had a blast.
Sure. We'll do it again. We'll do it again soon.
For sure.
See you guys.
All right, guys.
Thanks for tuning into the Coach Speak podcast. If you're interested in being a guest speaker on the show, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at coachspeakpodcast1@gmail.com. And if you have a question for our Q&A segment, don't forget to submit it through the form in the episode description. We appreciate your support, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.